What's up, guys? Today on Robbie's Reviews, I am in the 2020 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. Now, this isn't just any Rubicon, it is actually a launch edition, which is one of 4,190 units made, and that number actually has some significance. 419 is the area code that the Gladiator is produced in for the plant in Toledo, Ohio. So that's a little fun fact. And I just want to thank my friend Michael, who recently bought the Gladiator, and he's allowed me to take it out on the road and review it, and show you guys all the cool features. Let's go check it out. Alright guys, here she is, 2020 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. And this example is finished in gloss black with all the Rubicon graphics. We have the Rubicon letters here outlined in red, along with the Jeep logo here outlined in red. And all the Gladiators are actually powered by a 3.6 liter Chrysler Pentastar V6 that produces 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. And supposedly next year they're coming out with a diesel model, but for now all we have is the Pentastar V6, which honestly provides plenty of power, and especially with that very advanced four-wheel drive system, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. But my friend Michael, as you can see, has modified it quite a bit. What's replaced the factory Fox shocks is now these Falcon shocks, along with the springs. It's got a lift kit, sway bars, the larger 37-inch tires, the fuel off-road wheels, which has like a beadlock design, which is very cool. It almost adds like a military look to the Gladiator. And he's also replaced the front bumper with this full steel front bumper here, with the Smitty built winch, complete with the rigid off-road lights. You have the LED squares here, which are very bright. You have tow hooks here, you have the winch. And while we're at the front, you actually notice the trail cam, which is this front camera here, which helps you to see things that are directly in front of you. And actually has a little washer for the camera. You can see that there. And this being the Rubicon, which is the highest trim level, it has the LED headlights, which are very, very bright at night. And the Rubicon trim level actually comes with its own unique hood design. So this hood you see here is actually different from all the other trim levels. See the trail rated 4x4 and then the red badges. And going around the side, you can see the Michael has tinted the windows. Really adds to that menacing look. And something that you're not used to seeing on Jeeps is instead of just ending around here with there being a back window, you have a 5-foot long truck bed. So you have those Falcon shocks there with the larger 37-inch tires. Going around the back, you have those updated taillights. These are actually unique to the Rubicon. They are Jeep Performance LED taillights. And you actually have the radar sensor for the blind spot monitor right here. Full LED self-contained units, turn signals, reverse lights, running lights around the side, as well as LED side markers. And as part of the Rubicon and the Launch Edition package, you have these red tow hooks here. This is aftermarket here that Michael has added, but nonetheless, it definitely looks OEM and it goes with the look of the truck. And you have more of those red outline letters here. You have the reverse camera. You have all your hookups for towing. And actually what you have is a soft opening tailgate. Very, very popular on a lot of modern pickup trucks. And it's no surprise that this fully loaded Gladiator has it. So as an option from Jeep, you can get this locking and rolling tonneau cover. And what's pretty cool is if you just want to get in the tailgate real quickly for something, you can open this piece right here, this one flap, and you can access the bed. But if not, you can actually pull these hooks here, these red straps, just like so. And then it actually rolls all the way. So easy you could actually do it with one hand. So the tonneau cover is rolled back. And now you've got access to your pretty sizable 5-foot bed, which I believe most of the trucks in this segment have. And then when you want to put it back, you simply roll it back. Like so. Make sure it locks in. Close the tailgate. So if you don't want to open the tailgate and you just want to access something real quick, you can fold it back. And another unique feature in the back of this vehicle is you actually have the Launch Edition badge here. It's a Jeep Launch Edition with the silhouette of the Gladiator. And this is one of 4,190. It's a nice little touch. So the Gladiator actually comes with a hard top and a soft top. This one you can see has a hard top, which you can actually completely turn into a convertible. So there's hardware both in the windshield and the back part of the roof. And using tools that are included with the Gladiator, you can remove it. Basically, you fold down the windshield and it would lay on these little tabs here, which the windshield washers are actually mounted in. It's pretty cool. And I'll show you in a little bit, but you can actually, oh, keyless entry. It doesn't first look like it has keyless entry, but in fact does. And so using these tabs here and these levers, you pull this, you could take off the two front covers. And where that would be half a convertible, using the tools and the hardware, you actually go in here, remove these bolts, and then you have to disconnect the rear window defroster, because this is in fact a real window, whereas the soft top does not come with a real window, it is plastic. So once you disconnect that, you can actually remove this whole panel, and just this center part here with the dome light that has lights for the back and the front, and the speakers. So that stays in place, and you have a completely open top Jeep. And aside from taking the entire roof off, you can also take all 4 doors off. So aside from undoing the strap, you just have a couple pieces of hardware here you undo, and you're good to go. There's actually a special way you're supposed to carry the doors. So here is where Jeep recommends you carry the door instead of having it awkwardly in your hand like that. So this is an easier place to carry it. And while we're still at the back of the Gladiator, you probably noticed that unlike other pickup trucks on the market, the Gladiator does not have a third brake light above the floating window there, which you can actually open. Since you can remove the top, they weren't able to put the third brake light there because you were able to take it away. So they had to put it in the bed, right on the back of the tailgate here. But the problem now is that if you put a bike rack or something at the back of the Gladiator, you block the third brake light. So Jeep actually doesn't sell any kind of bike rack attachment or anything like that for the Gladiator. I'm sure you can still get it aftermarket, but you'll end up blocking the third brake light, and you might have a issue with the police with that. But let's see, moving around the side here, most times you notice that depending on the trim level, of course, Jeeps will come with rock rails to protect the body on trails from like branches and rocks and stuff like that. But this being a pickup truck, the bed actually has its own rock rail here, which is pretty cool, and you don't see that very often. Moving along the side, you can see that blind spot monitor sensor in there, a little triangle that lights up. As well, I don't know if you can see that, but you actually have the camera there for the lane keep assist. So right now I'm going to turn on the full LED headlights and taillights, as well as the hazard lights. So you just put it to on there. So you have the LED side markers here, and the daytime running lights, which are nice and bright. And here you have these full LED projectors, the low beam and the high beam, and they're by LED units, which means that the low beam and the high beam is contained in one projector. And here you actually have the off-road lights, so the LED cubes made by Rigid. And he's actually wired, I believe, one of these sets to use the fog light button. Since the OEM bumper is no longer here, 2 of them have been replaced by the fog light button, and then using one of the Gladiator's auxiliary switches, you can turn on the second set. So let's turn those on right now. I believe we'll have to put the ignition on. Let's do that. And you have the push button here. So you have the fog light button here, and you have auxiliary 1. So here you have both sets of the off-road lights on here, and they are extremely bright, even in broad daylight. That would really help with off-roading at night. They look very cool, although you can't drive with these on at night on the highway or the roads, otherwise you'll upset a lot of people. Going around to the back, you have the LED side markers here, as well as the extremely bright taillights. Even in the broad daylight here, you can see them. The DRL is this nice LED ring that goes around, and you have the LEDs here for the brake lights. Actually, we'll turn on the hazard lights so you guys can get a better look. Alright, let's turn the hazard lights on. As you can see, they're nice and bright, even in broad daylight. Very clean, modern looking, still very Jeep. And one thing the Jeep is always great at is hiding little Easter eggs all around their vehicles. So with the Gladiator being the newest and most special Jeep creation, there's plenty of Easter eggs to find. So for example, if we pull open the tonneau cover here, we actually have a heart with 419. That is the area code for Toledo, Ohio, where the Gladiator is produced. So that's one of the little Easter eggs. And another little Easter egg is over here. You actually have the little 1940s Jeep that is crawling up the windshield. And if you have one of the base model trims for the Gladiator, you'll have an incandescent headlight fixture here, and instead of the LED projector, you'll have an incandescent little reflector, and you'll have the grille of the Jeep basically etched in. So here where it just says Jeep Performance LED, you get a whole other design with a little Easter egg. No little Jeep over here. It seems to only be on the passenger side. Alright, so now let's check out the back seat before we go check out the front. And one thing you notice right away is this being the highest trim level, you get a lot of nice appointments with the leather, the contrast red stitching. I love the fact that the rear floor mats, one, they're very rugged, like similar to WeatherTech. You can get them dirty, muddy, and they're easy to clean off and hose off, and you can take them right out. It says Jeep with the raised lettering here, and it actually looks like almost like a relief mat for off-roading. And you have the little the shovel and pickaxe there, which is pretty cool. You have cup holders, very, very large cup holders. A 110-volt house outlet, USB-C and USB ports. Being that you can take the doors off, Jeep obviously couldn't put the window switches. They wanted to like minimize all the switch gear and electronics that have to go in the doors. So the power window switches are back here for the rear doors. And up front, they're right there for the front and rear windows. You have this cool kind of net design. I'm not really sure what this is for some kind of tools, screwdrivers, stuff like that. It's a nice cargo net. And what's cool for these seats, they are 60-40 folding. So let's see, fold it forward here. You have more storage nets back there, but that's not the best part. You can actually fold the seat up. So using this here, the seat folds completely up. You have a little storage box. So all the tools and stuff, see Michael has his wheel lock and other things in here. But you can actually close that. And I don't know if you remember earlier when I was talking about you can remove the roof and the doors and take down the windshield. Well, there's actually a spot here to put all the hardware. So you have special spots to put all the hardware. And you even have a little legend here that'll help you remember where to put everything. So for the doors, the roof, put that back. Putting this down, moving around to the other side. Moving around to the other side, you have that same 60-40 split. Of course, you move the seats up. You have an even larger storage area over here. Plenty of room for a big water bottle. There's actually a shovel that comes with the Jeep. It's pretty cool. Stuff like that. And actually, throughout the Gladiator, you'll find this cool kind of camo pattern that's in all the trays. And actually, up on the roof as well. I don't know if you guys can see that. With this camo pattern. It seems to only be on the Rubicon version of the Gladiator. It's kind of all around there. Closing that up. And now we get to probably one of my favorite things about the Gladiator. So pull the seat back here. Here you have some more storage, but probably the best part is you have a rechargeable Bluetooth speaker. Made by Jeep, of course. And when you're not using it and you plug it back in, it charges itself. But it works just like any Bluetooth speaker would. Jeep says this is extra rugged. You can hang it from a tree, throw it in a pool. It can survive in water for up to 30 minutes. I mean, it's about as cool as it gets. I played it earlier and the sound quality is great. You know, it charges, connects to your phone in seconds, just like pretty much every Bluetooth speaker on the market. But this one comes with your Jeep Gladiator, and you can use it if you're going to the beach or hanging outside or going to a cookout. So it's just a nice thing to have, and really cool that Jeep would include that. And that of course comes with the Gladiator. The Gladiator Rubicon, and I'm not sure about the other trim levels, but it was standard on this Rubicon Launch Edition. So putting that back up. Locks back into place. As you can see, that relief map is actually a different map on this side. Different pattern. Moving around to the front. It's the same thing. You have another kind of a relief map, which is very cool. Kind of for off-roading. And more of that contrast stitching up here. Nice full leather dashboard. Here you can really see the camo pattern I was talking about. And you have the anodized red aluminum, the lockers here. That's to undo the roof. You have the Rubicon and the red stitching here. Very, very comfortable leather seats. Alright, so now we're going to walk around to the driver's side, step inside, check out the interior of the Gladiator Rubicon. It's quite a climb to get up there. There's no step ladder or little side step there, but it's really not that bad once you get used to it. And of course the Rubicon has the start-stop button here, so start it up. And I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but before when I was talking about the little Easter eggs that Jeep hides, there was a little Jeep that drove across the screen, so I'm going to show you that one more time. See a little Jeep driving across and crawling up the screen, the Rubicon there. It's pretty cool. And speaking of Easter eggs, everything that resembles a car in here is actually a Jeep. Now as far as the interior goes of the Gladiator, it's really not much to it. There is a lot of nice features and technology, but it is still pretty bare bones. It is a Jeep, and they like to keep things simple, especially if you're going to take it off-roading and have it exposed to the elements. So they didn't want to have the interior have too much going on. What I really like is they have this rubber surround here to protect the 8.4-inch Uconnect screen from the elements. And this latest generation of Uconnect is actually lightning quick. Responds faster than ever. I've had a lot of experience with the Uconnect screen over the years. I've had several cars that have it. And this is by far the highest quality and definitely the nicest to look at. And here we get to the controls. So you have the backup camera you can go to without going into reverse. And you actually have this thing called trail cam on the front, which actually has guidance lines in a tire mark design, which is pretty cool. You can actually also clean the camera, which cleans the camera if it gets muddy or dirty on the trail. And if you exit out of here, go to apps. And whereas all the SRT vehicles have SRT performance pages, the Gladiator has off-road pages, so give it a second to load up. So you have the drivetrain, you have your steering angle, sway bar connected or disconnected, front axle unlocked, rear axle locker unlocked, transfer case too high. You have all your settings down here so you can disconnect your sway bar. There's off-road plus. You have front and rear differential locks. You have all your 4 high, 4 low, neutral, 2 high settings. And you actually have off-road cruise control up here, which you can only activate under 15 miles an hour. And it actually lets the Gladiator cruise itself over any terrain at whatever speed that it thinks it should be going at. You have things like auto start stop, heated steering wheel, heated seats, 2-zone climate control. You could turn the screen off with this button here. Very, very high definition. You have accessory gauges, trans temp, oil pressure, battery voltage, oil temp, coolant temp, your pitch and roll. So right now I'm sitting at 1 degree in the roll, and then the pitch, it's dead flat. You can go right to your trail cam here. And you can also go to your reverse camera. So trail cam, drivetrain, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And you actually have your analog gauges here, which are very nice to look at. And you have an indicator over there telling you what the four-wheel drive system is in. You have a nice full-color digital display here showing your fuel level, oil temperature, speedometer, and that's all reconfigurable too. You have the miles, only has about 5,900 miles on it, pretty much brand new. You have your 12-volt DC here, all your media ports here, auxiliary, USB-C, and USB. Parking sensors off button, nice grab handle for the off-roading. Pretty sizable glove box. And one problem the Jeep actually solved in a very elegant way is you can't have dome lights where you can remove the roof. So what they did is on this piece here with the speakers and the bar that goes across, they have a little pod here for the dome lights. So these go forward, and these go back. And then I'm not sure if this lights up or not. Let me see if I open the door. Yep, and then the middle lights up and the whole thing lights up there. So they're nice and bright, they're LED. And that was just a cool way to solve that problem, so props to Jeep for that. And I love the shifter on this car. They have this nice red thing here, the button you have to press. And you actually have this kind of hologram or very metallic looking logo here of the Gladiator, the silhouette. You have the leather wrapped and red contrast stitching on the shift boot here. You can go to manual mode, shift up, shift down. Reverse brings up the camera, and you can also bring up the front camera for helping you get out of parking spots. This being an 18-foot long vehicle, it really helps. So you have the crew cab, and then you have that 5-foot bed in back. It's just a nice thing to have. And on the steering wheel, it's nice. It's perfectly round, no flat bottom here. It's got the red contrast stitching. It's full leather wrapped. You have the voice controls over here, and you have, typical what Dodge does is you have the speaker controls in the back. You have the, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. That's for the volume, and then you have the media on the other side, so the channel. And you have here's your adaptive cruise control. So adaptive cruise control ready. You have your distance setting. You can see it there, I'm changing the distance setting. Pretty cool. You can just turn it off. And I was talking before about that kind of camo pattern you can see. Just below the manual emergency brake here, you have that camo pattern, as well as in the double center console here, right there on the lid. Just a bunch of nice little touches. It makes you feel like you're in an off-road machine, but also in a luxury vehicle at the same time. I mean, this is not a cheap vehicle. I believe the Rubicon starts around 55 grand, and this launch edition, I'm pretty sure that when it was new, it wasn't going for anywhere near under sticker, probably in the 60s or 70s, and people were paying that. But nonetheless, it is a very cool vehicle, and just want to thank Michael again for letting me review it, take it out. So now we're going to go take the Gladiator out on the road and see what it's like to drive. Alright, so right now I'm in the 2020 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. Now I'm only in a field right now. I'm not doing any crazy off-roading or anything, although me and the owner, Michael, my buddy, we will be doing an off-road Robbie's review soon, so stay tuned for that. And just driving around the complex in my neighborhood here. On those 37-inch tires, it actually rides really nice, and they are brand new tires, and I know when tires like that start to wear, they become not so nice to drive on. But for the time being, this is a brand new truck, brand new tires, and it does drive really nice. The electric power steering is nicely weighted. It doesn't really wander too much even being lifted, and with the leveling kit. And it's just a nice thing to drive, you know, even when you're not off-road, which most of these are not going to be off-road. The majority of people that buy them, they're going to be mall crawlers or just daily drivers or even work trucks. However, I'm perfectly comfortable driving this right now. I can see above everything. I'm almost at the height of a semi-truck driver, not really far off. I can see very, very high above the other cars in traffic. And just driving around my neighborhood, it's perfectly comfortable on a regular road here. And I did notice that around 70-75 miles an hour, it does wander a little bit, but really not much you can do when it comes to the larger tires and the lift kit. But I mean, the speedometer only goes to 120, so there's really not much reason to go over 80, 85 in this truck, unless you're trying to get away from someone, which then you're in the wrong vehicle. But it's really, the tire noise is not that bad. The Sirius XM, the satellite radio, the sound system in here is great. I just flew over a speed bump and didn't even feel it. The car behind me had to come to a stop. And visibility is great. You have the blind spot monitor. At night, the LED headlights are great. There's really not much to say other than it drives like a Jeep. That's not necessarily a bad or a good thing. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but the Gladiator does feel like a nice pickup truck. Whereas other Jeeps that don't have this hardtop here, The road noise is unbearable. You have that flapping noise. Sometimes the rain can get in if you don't seal it properly. But this having a hardtop and having nice AC and everything, nice radio, just feels like a regular pickup truck with all the luxury amenities. Have a heated steering wheel, heated seats, power windows, all the safety technology, forward collision assist, blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, front and rear cameras. There's not much more you could want. Alright guys, well that should do it for this Robbie's review of the 2020 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon Launch Edition. Once again, I just want to thank my friend Michael, who's allowed me to take the Gladiator for a few days and to see what it's all about, show you guys what it's like to drive and all its cool features. See you next time.